Hello everyone, happy Monday. It is January 30th. We don't have any open meetings to tell you about today, so we'll just jump to who's on our show. Well, today we have Becky LaMacca, who is here on behalf of Pacific Cremation Services. And we're going to talk about some of the various challenges that people go through when losing a loved one and just some of the options that you have. Then we talk to Alan Feldman and Jean Lepowski, who are here on behalf of the Democratic Club of Laguna Woods, and they have an event that's coming up and want to let you know about it. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our weather. We did have our rain, just like we thought we would, and take a look at the mountains are still getting a little bit of snow, which is great. We'll take anything to help our drought. Take a look at these numbers this week. We are looking at showers today, 54-41. Tomorrow, sunny, 60-40, 61-43, 65-48. We get up to 68-49 as we go towards our weekend. Very nice. Our sunrise this morning was at 6:50, and our sunset will be at 5:18. Take a look at this beautiful sunset. Duke's down in La Jolla, California. And I actually got a chance to walk to this weekend down in Dana Point, and there was a great little trail up there, and I'll try and get a photo uploaded next time. Okay, just a reminder that Broadband Services is going to be conducting satellite maintenance activity this Wednesday on February 1st from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. It is possible for you to possibly experience a signal loss, programming interruption throughout the day. Local music and foreign channels should not be affected, and after the scheduled maintenance, the programming will return to normal. Thank you so much for your patience, and they do apologize for the inconvenience. All right, when we come back, we will talk to Becky LaMacca, so stay tuned.
At Healing Hearts Emergency Animal Hospital, we are dedicated to emergency veterinary care through high-quality veterinary services and compassion. We offer state-of-the-art diagnostics at competitive pricing. Our doctors will see and care for dogs, cats, and most exotics. In case of emergency, rest assured Healing Hearts Emergency is here for you when your primary veterinarian is closed. Open nights, weekends, and all major holidays.
At Harvard Eye Associates,
we are committed to your vision care
and quality of life.
It's a commitment we don't take lightly.
Our trusted team of doctors provides specialized eye care using state-of-the-art technology.
We deliver what matters to you
and your family.
Harvard Eye Associates, the future of vision today.
Pacific Cremation Services offers you the ultimate freedom to become one with the salty breezes and brilliant sunset reflections. A scattering at sea is a unique, beautiful way to honor the life of anyone who chooses to be cremated. We help you plan the details and understand what to expect. Choose from our 3 simple plans and let us help you start the process of healing and life celebration. Contact us at pacificcremationservices.com to create a personalized service at sea today.
Welcome back. As I mentioned, we have Becky LaMacca here, who is here on behalf of Pacific Cremation Services. Well, welcome back. Nice to see you.
Good to see you too.
And you know, I know you sort of go between the two entities.
Yes.
You do Pacific Cremation Services and O'Connor Mortuary. And you know, are you responsible for the same things for both?
I am. I'm the grief specialist, for both companies. We started Pacific Cremation Services Oh goodness, I think it'll be 6 years this
Okay.
spring that we started this company, and really gearing it toward families who don't need all of the bells and whistles. So they don't need the full service
Okay.
that O'Connor Mortuary has to offer. And this is for people who are looking for a simple cremation, maybe doing a scatter at sea, and we really try to make it easy for them.
Now, there's some expectations that people will have once they lose a loved one. I mean, you know, the stress of preparing someone for a funeral service or a cremation service can be quite daunting. And I know you said something simple, but just because it's simple doesn't mean it really takes away the stress.
Exactly. Simple, I mean, when a death happens, it is stressful, it is sad. What we try to do is walk alongside that person to help reduce some of that anxiety, mostly.
Sure.
As what do I do? You know,
Right.
when the death occurs, what do I do? And a lot of that depends on if the person who dies is under hospice care or not under hospice care, and where they die.
Okay, so let's just kind of walk through the different varying things that people might experience. So for instance, I know you just said, you know, what to expect. So I'm just thinking my good friend just lost her mother who lived with her at her home. Oh my gosh, you find her in her bed and she passed away in her sleep. What's the next thing you do?
Well, you would call the authorities. You would call the sheriff's department or you know, the police. The coroner would then get involved at that point. And I know that can be scary for some people. They
Yeah.
wonder, oh my gosh, is the coroner going to come out? If the person has been under doctor's care and has been ill, typically what will happen is the coroner will just create a number, and what that number, a case number, and then that is what the family would give to the mortuary.
Okay.
If the person is under hospice care, then the family should call the hospice.
Okay.
And then the nurse will come out, and the nurse will help call the mortuary or the cremation services of the family's choice.
Okay, so the coroner will come and take the person, and then is that, or how do, I mean, I guess that would be a little concerning. You know, it's
Usually,
like, do they want to
yeah.
release the body?
Usually the coroner doesn't even come out. It's just a
Okay.
phone call that happens. And then at that point, that case number is given, and then the family can call
Oh, I see.
mortuary
Okay.
or cremation services of their
Okay.
choice. And the mortuary will ask for that case number. And then what that is basically a release to say, okay, we'll bring that person into our care. Typically, the only time the coroner would actually come out is if there was any concern that it was a suspicious or unnatural death, and then
okay.
they would actually come out. One of the sheriffs. It's the coroner here in Orange County is part of the sheriff's department.
Okay, and then what will happen the next few days? Like, what are the next steps for someone?
Well, when that call is made, the mortuary or cremation service will go to the residence or go to where that person is and transfer that person into our care.
Okay.
We always call the family to let the family know that their person has arrived safely in our care, because again, that can be very anxiety producing. Wow, this typically it's a white unmarked van that would transfer the person into our care. And so just letting the family know, you know, mom or dad safely arrived and it's okay. And then what we will do is we'll set up a time for you to come in and meet. And the
Okay.
nice thing with Pacific Cremation Services, sometimes families aren't really even comfortable coming in. So we do have the ability to do that over the phone
Okay.
or over email if people don't want to actually come into the office.
So from like the process of actually doing all of these things, you know, what are they called? It's generally done within a week's time frame, right?
It's generally done, typically you meet with the mortuary or the cremation center usually within 48 hours
Okay.
of the time your loved one dies. And then after that, it really depends on your preference. Typically, the cremation will occur anywhere from 7 to 10 days once all of the permits are filed with the County of Orange. And then at that point in time, people have choices of when they would want to do the scattering. Maybe somebody would want to wait until the springtime to do a scattering at sea, or if they're taking the urn to another state or another country. So there's a lot of flexibility to make it work for them.
Okay, that's good to know. Now, I'm assuming there is paperwork that we all should be aware of for a loved one if they happen to be under our care, or if we're next of kin or something like that. What are some of the documents that we should be aware of?
Well, one thing that that you'll want to locate is you'll want an advanced health care directive and the durable power of attorney who within, typically if there's a spouse, the spouse is the next of kin. If there are children involved, usually one child is named as the, as the person in charge.
Right.
If that's not the case, there are forms that we can send to the family and all of the children sign. So we're able to work with families, and that's part of that phone call to, what to do next. One thing that people would want to locate if your person is a veteran is the discharge papers.
Ah, okay.
So that is important then to allow, any veteran services that the family would want. Something, if you can't find that, we can help you with as well.
And then people who are receiving Social Security, should we know that information too?
We do that. We do that for the families, yes.
Oh, that's great. Do you also help write a obituary if needed?
Well, we do have, we don't write it for you, but what we do is we have some suggestions and some samples of here's what people would typically say.
Because again, you're under so much duress that you just wonder, oh my gosh, what am I going to say? There's so much to say, and there really isn't, you can't write a book. You have to kind of minimalize it so it fits into a paper if you happen to be doing that.
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right, great. And then just in final steps, it sounds like you handle pretty much everything that someone needs. Can it be costly, or are there ways to work with someone where pricing really isn't so bad?
Oh, absolutely, there's ways, and that's really the design of Pacific Cremation Services, to have affordable cremation. Our tagline is Discover Simplicity. We have 3 simple plans, and we're very transparent in pricing. You can go right onto the website. You see each of the 3 plans, and you see what each one's costs. And then, of course, the O'Connor family has always been very generous in working with families who don't have income and maybe need some consideration financially.
Perfect. Well, you've always been delightful, and I'm sure anyone that works with you is always very happy. So thank you so much. And if you want more information about any of the choices that Pacific Cremation has, you can always go to pacificcremationservices.com. We'll be right back.
How do you comfort a family who's experienced a loss? At O'Connor Mortuary, we start by welcoming them into our space, where families of all faiths and cultures belong. We allow them the time to process their grief, providing guidance when it's needed and listening intently when it's not. We gather the values, the stories, the relationships, and the dreams together and use them to shape the memory of their loved one into a beautiful experience they'll cherish forever. When your family is in need of true comfort, call O'Connor Mortuary.
I'm Dr. Bobby Awadala, double board certified dermatologist and Mohs surgeon, and I'd like to introduce you to Skin Credible Dermatology and Surgery. We perform general dermatology, including skin checks, suspicious spots or moles, and other skin problems. Plus, we have the highest cure rate for skin cancer removal. Our state-of-the-art facility is top of the line with industry-leading lasers and cutting-edge cosmetic products. Our goal is to turn back the years with a natural, beautiful look. Visit our website or give us a call to book your appointment today.
Did you know that the Laguna Hills Lodge was originally built as a place for relatives or friends to stay when they were visiting? In 1968, Laguna Woods' residents built the first 2 buildings of the lodge because they wanted a place close by for visitors to stay. Since then, the lodge has become the spare bedroom for the Laguna Woods' residents. The lodge has received the TripAdvisor Award of Excellence 8 years in a row. We invite you to stay in one of our recently remodeled garden rooms and take advantage of a special offer for Laguna Woods' residents, family, and friends.
Been working with retirees since 1984. I specialize in protecting people's money, setting up a secure retirement income stream for them, and making sure their money is there when they need it. I started Sterling Financial Advisors under the premise that we not only needed quality service for clients out there in the financial industry, but ethical standards as well. We don't have any monopoly on the investments we use. What we do have a monopoly on is the integrity and how we treat our clients.
Welcome back. Well, as I mentioned, we have Alan and Jean here on behalf of the Democratic Club of Laguna Woods. Well, welcome both of you. Nice to see you and nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on. So, there's been a lot of activity with, politics and what's going on these days. And I'm sure you guys have your share of things that you like to talk about. And I know that you have some outreach programs. But first, let's talk about a meeting you have coming up.
Okay. Yeah, well, thank you for having us. Our next meeting is Tuesday, February 21st at 7 p.m. at Clubhouse 2. And in fact, the rest of our meetings for this year, our regular meetings, are going to be on the third Tuesday of the month at 7 o'clock at Clubhouse 2. So we've kind of got a semi-permanent home again. We've been bouncing around from place to place. September 20, I keep on saying September, I apologize. February 21st, our speaker is going to be Steve Lindley from the Brady Organization. James Brady was Ronald Reagan's press secretary, and he was seriously wounded when there was an assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan. He and his family formed what's called the Brady Organization, Brady Campaign at the time, and they advocated for gun safety regulation. They advocated to do what they could to end gun violence in the country. The problem still exists, and the Brady Organization still exists also. So that's one of the things Steve Lindley is going to talk about. That was the main thing Steve Lindley is going to talk about. Another thing he's going to talk about is our current gun safety laws in California and whether or not they will stand in view of the recent Supreme Court decisions. What we try to do with our meetings and our speakers, especially in off years when there's no election, is bring a diversity of issues to people. Election time, we're a Democratic club. Our job is to elect people. So from before the primary to November, it's candidates, and more candidates.
Yeah.
So we try to make up for that when there is no election, an off-year election, by becoming more diverse. And Steve Lindley is going to be speaking in February. In February, and if people saw the flyer that was up there, you can see this guy has a very varied background. He was a police officer. He worked for the California Department of Justice. Now he's a school teacher, so he looks at things from all different angles.
Right.
And in March, our guest is going to be a reporter and columnist from the Orange County Register, Terry Sforza. I believe that's how she pronounces her name. I apologize. It's Sforza. She is also a documentary filmmaker, and she's also an author. She started the called Watchdog column in the Orange County Register, which is one of the few media in this area that actually tracks Orange County government. And she's also been involved in a lot of investigations. They did one Pulitzer Prize-winning investigation about fertility clinics at UCI, and she's recently written a story about the what she called the addiction rehab industry in Orange County, the Rehab Riviera, as we're known. I didn't know that. And in May, John Hanna, who is the government affairs director of the, I believe it's called the Southwest Council of Carpenters, there is actually a very vibrant, active, organized labor movement in Orange County. And we don't see too much of it down here. We don't know too much about it, but certainly up in Santa Ana and Orange and Anaheim, where there's so many resorts and hotels, there's a lot of service workers, low-wage workers. They are all now organized or becoming organized. So organized labor is becoming a bigger and bigger factor in Orange County. And we try to, when it comes to our meetings, we try to keep people engaged. We try to keep them involved. That's the most important thing. We also use it somewhat as an outreach tool. People who maybe don't belong to the club and might be interested in us thinking. But when it comes to outreach, really, Jean, outreach is very important to us. We do it all the time. Do 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And Jean is involved not only in all of those efforts herself, but she is leading the pack in many of them. So she's really the one to speak about our outreach program.
Yeah, and that's a good thing, because not only Alan is talking about all of your meetings and all the things that you cover, it's education too, because many of these issues are they're bipartisan. So it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. They're important, especially when you have the gentleman who is an ex-police officer. Look what's happening to our police across the country. I mean, it's really frightening. And Orange County, I think, is in pretty good shape for the most part. Our sheriff's department seems pretty good, but overall, it's kind of scary. So when it comes to outreach, what are some of the things that you do?
Well, obviously, being the Democratic Club, we do a lot of Democratic political outreach. We have a fabulous group of volunteers. Of our 500 members, a little more than 500, about half of them are active in one way or another when it comes to the political part of things. Writing postcards, knocking door to door, talking to people. We have our slate of candidates that we present to everyone in Laguna Woods Village and in Laguna Woods before every election. Our volunteers are not limited to Democrats. We have a lot of people who are not registered with any party. There might be people registered to other parties. I'm not even sure about that, but I know there are some non-affiliated people who are part of our volunteers. So we welcome everybody who believes in what we are representing to be part of our work. We have an email list that goes to, we have, as I mentioned, 500 members, but our email list is about 3 times that size. And in that email list, we describe events that are coming up, and everyone is welcome to join that email list. We also, as you mentioned, Lisa, education is really important, and one of my roles is to help put out information that people need to know as citizens and as voters. We want to make sure that they understand about, for example, primaries. Last year we had a primary that was a crucial primary for Orange County when it comes to schools, and there was low turnout, and I think the reason is because people didn't understand how important that particular election was and why it was important. And so I want to make sure that people have that kind of information available. And then another area of outreach is not one that I'm responsible for, but rather Mary Ribando, who is the leader of a team of voter registration people who go out to, for example, care homes and assisted living facilities and wherever we're invited to help people register to vote. And with regard to registering to vote, we as Democrats do not register people based on their being Democrats or no. We register whoever wants to register in whatever party they choose, and we sign off on the registration, send it to the Registrar of Voters, and the Registrar of Voters is the one who decides whether this person qualifies to vote or not. That is not our decision at all, and that's a really important thing for people to understand.
Right, I think that's good that you go out to those facilities, because you know, oftentimes they can't get out, and oftentimes they really don't know what's happening
Right.
out in the world. So that's perfect that you do that. Let's talk about one other thing here. You're staying in regular contact with the members. Obviously, you're doing that in your outreach and other ways, but you have some TV shows.
Oh, right. Well, Village TV is one of the big tools that we use to stay in touch with people. We make occasional periodic appearances on ThisDay. Thank you very much. We have been recording and showing on Village TV our monthly meetings. We've been doing that for a little while. That's there's a lot of people in the village who are still leery of going out into a group setting because of COVID. There's always people in Laguna Woods who don't like to go out at night, who have mobility problems, can't drive at night. So this is a good way for them to stay in touch with what's going on and for us to stay in touch with them. We also do 2 30-minute TV programs shown on Village TV. They alternate months. One is called Black in Laguna Woods, and the other is called Do You Know? That's a program about immigrants that's hosted by our first Vice President, Rebecca Guillard. And really, both of these programs, the design of both of these programs is for the people who live in Laguna Woods to speak about their experiences, their feelings about what it's like to live in Laguna Woods. And these surprise people who are not in the majority, a lot of times they live their life appreciably different than most of us do. And this gives people an opportunity to talk about that here. And I just want to push the show coming up on Do You Know, which is going to be coming up on Wednesday. Rebecca is going to be speaking with a person who emigrated to this country from North Korea. So, I mean, what do we know about North Korea? The funny-looking dictator and the army marching down the street, missiles right behind it. So maybe we'll get an idea what it's actually like to do that. But, keeping in touch with people is kind of the first cousin to outreach. So I'll push it back over to Jean for a minute to just, to finish it up on what we do, what further things we do, the further type of things we do.
Well, we are going to probably have to go ahead and have you come back, and we can talk more about those things. But I do want to go ahead and show the flyer one more time to remind people it was February 21st, and that is your meeting that has Steve Lindley. And for information, you can always get in touch with them on the number that's on the screen. And we appreciate both of you coming on. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome.
Greatly appreciate it.
You're welcome. Of course, if you want more information about anything that we have discussed, you can always get in touch with them at the website that's on your screen. We'll be right back. Welcome back. All right, real quick, we've got our movie for today called One Chance, starring James Corden. And that's brought to you by Harvard Eye Associates. You can see that at 2 p.m. with subtitles and 6 p.m. without subtitles. Go ahead and take a look at our weather. We have rain for today, but it will be clearing up later on. And we're looking at beautiful sunshiny skies for the rest of the week, with the highs really about 68 by the time we get to the weekend. Have a great day in the Village. We'll see you again tomorrow right here on Village Television at 9 a.m. Bye-bye.